Hey everybody, hope you're doing well, having a great day, great night so far. Welcome back to another episode of CSGO News. For our first story today, in the title, I want to show all of you how to get CSGO for half price. Unfortunately enough though, it's going to require you to have a Malaysian friend, because apparently in the country of Malaysia, they pay for CSGO less than half of what you currently pay. I know I actually bought CSGO just last week for a friend of mine for $14.99. You guys probably saw that Steam story video. I'll link that down below for all of you. I paid $14.99. My Malaysian friend Rain though showed me this video on screen for all of you, where their actual currency is called the Malaysian ringgit. They can get Counter-Strike Global Offensive for 31 Malaysian ringgits. If you actually go and transfer that to USD currency or US dollars, that is just over $7 for the game of CSGO. So for all of you who are wondering how to get CSGO cheaper besides just the summer sales and the winter sales, go and find a Malaysian friend out there, and apparently they pay just over $7 for CSGO. And that was in our first crazy story. But more crazy news for all of you guys was a FaceIT ban wave, or at least FaceIT released their stats for their anti-cheats over the past 5 months. If you guys do remember, they had a big update about 5 months ago where they released a new anti-cheat client. They've been continuously updating that client and trying to ban users who are cheating. Of that ban wave, guys, apparently over the past 150 days, they banned over 20,000 accounts, just over 140 accounts every single day, showing the effectiveness of these anti-cheats, especially going forward in the future when all these cheat clients do actually progress themselves and try and progress in the fact that we want less cheaters in the game itself. They're doing a great job and a great movement there. As a part of this ban wave was not the fact, though, they actually were only banning cheaters here, but FaceIT and ESCA also combined and actually went out and banned some top tier players out there. I mean top tier cheaters, one of them being Pishila. I can't actually find a picture of this guy, a notorious cheater on ESCA as well as on FaceIT servers. And I don't mean cheater in the fact that he's aiming or wall hacking, although he has in the past. He's more well known for his match fixing ways. Allegedly over the past few months, and especially over the past few years, this guy alone, Pishila, has actually been banned officially now, has grossed over $40,000 through match fixing throughout FaceIT as well as ESCA. He is now banned on both those servers and both those clients, guys, which is great to see, slow progress towards these match fixers out there. We actually had, Existence himself, other pro players out there complaining about this one individual guy. As you guys can see, a tweet all the way back from December of 2016, he was still match fixing and also cheating in the game itself. He has now been officially banned, so FaceIT making great progress there. And as we progress throughout the years, guys, hopefully anti-cheats are only going to get better. In just a year and 5 months after joining the roster itself, NIP have officially released their member Pyth from contract. It's actually very exciting news going forward. As many of you know, he's actually struggled a lot with injury over the past year or so. He then came back to NIP for a short time and had his spot taken a few months ago by former Epsilon Opera Drake, and now ever since then, NIP, after having a decent year in 2016, winning several events there that were $100,000 plus prize pools, they have now fell off the wagon, guys, and really struggled, and we will now not be seeing them in 2 consecutive majors. So going forward, it's actually going to be cool to see who actually signs Pyth. Maybe not a top tier talent out there, but it seems he definitely wants to pursue playing CSGO in the future. He played alongside Mike Lilly and Whitten on Team ESG in the minor qualifier. Although they didn't qualify for the minor qualifier itself, they did try to, and it seems going forward that Pyth wants to stay playing CSGO. So exciting news there is he is now no longer under contract and hopefully going to be signed by some team out there after the major or maybe even before the major. Now going forward, talking about NIP struggles, I want to tell you guys all about the PGL minor teams that have actually been compiled so far. But before I go to that, I want to talk about NIP struggles, which I mentioned before. They have now not made 2 consecutive majors. They failed to qualify back at the Atlanta major. At the major qualifier, they fell short to a CIS team known as Vegas Squadron in a best-of-1 series. They lost to them on Mirage and they tore them apart. It shocked the world as both Cloud9 and NIP failed to make the major, and this time around it will actually be NIP for 2 consecutive majors, as they even failed to make the minor, the European minor there, the final 8 teams. They fell short to a team, Space Soldiers. Space Soldiers actually went on to lose to Dignitas. They got creamed there, but Dignitas claimed their last spot. So yes, it will be NIP for 2 consecutive majors, not even having a chance at that major itself, and they're definitely struggling going forward. Now on top of that, I do want to tell you guys all, so far our minor teams who have actually qualified themselves, we have our 8 American teams fighting for 2 spots on screen for all of you. Teams like Cloud9, Immortals, Misfits, LG, really solid teams. Who's going to crack under pressure, and can Cloud9 make it so they don't go 2 years straight as well? As many of you remember, they actually did not make our last major either. Can they make it? Hopefully not a 2-year streak alongside NIP. Now we also have our CIS teams on screen for all of you. You'll notice Team Spirit alongside Spirit Academy. I'll touch on that rule in a second for all of you. They'll also be competing for 2 spots. We also have our Asian teams on screen for all of you, and finally, more importantly, we have our European teams, our 8 final European teams, and they'll be competing for 3 spots. So every other region gets 2 spots, European region actually getting 3 spots. And I do want to touch on shortly as well PGL's ruling, because we actually have several academy teams in the lineup right now for the minors. We have Fnatic Academy looking very strong. As many of you know, Fnatic's already a legendary team, so Fnatic Academy, we kind of had that conflicting there, as well as Team Spirit in the CIS region. They're alongside their Spirit Academy roster as well in that minor, and they're very likely to have one of those teams qualify. Now going forward, PGL did release a statement just in case one of these teams does by chance, by far chance to actually make the major itself. They did release a statement that academy teams can go forward. All they have to do is change their organization title and change their logo as well, which seems to be a pretty doable task if they actually make it that far. So going forward, NIP Pyth, will he be signed? We'll have to see. NIP themselves are really continuing to struggle, and those are your PGL minor teams so far, guys, competing for the major qualifier sometime soon. It's going to be really cool to see who cracks under pressure and who advances. And speaking shortly of teams going through, I had a segment about this last video about the ESL Pro League Season 6 spots for the European side of things. Got so controversial and so much competition going on over there between the 4 teams on screen for all of you. I've talked about them now in the last 2 videos. We had Hellraisers, Virtus Pro alongside Team Big and Penta, all competing, all clashing for those last 2 spots for Season 6 of ESL Pro League. And in big fashion, guys, we had Virtus Pro actually throw these matches away as they got swept twice, not only by Team Big but also Penta Gaming. So I'll break down the bracket for all of you guys. It was actually Hellraisers who grabbed their first spot in ESL Pro League Season 6. They earned their spot in Season 6 as well. They 2-0'd Penta as well as they 2-0'd Big there, or they beat Big 2-1. Either way, Hellraisers actually earned their spot themselves. They sent Big to the losers bracket finals alongside Penta Gaming, who actually 2-0'd Virtus Pro. So it was the face-off of both the teams. It was actually Team Big versus Penta Gaming. These teams not only faced off last week in the Mountain Dew League finals, they also both 2-0'd Virtus Pro this previous week, a day ago, actually before facing off. So it really was an untold competition here. Both these teams had swept Virtus Pro. They were both coming off very big highs. It was actually Team Big, though, who took down Penta Gaming. Unfortunately enough, I talked to one of the Zen, the player from Penta Gaming. A very unfortunate loss there after they beat Virtus Pro and got to face off against Team Big, a team they beat the previous week. We Hellraisers and Team Big taking your last 2 spots for Season 6 of Pro League. Actually seems right now one last spot, one last chance for that will be the Premier matches many of you guys know about. Virtus Pro will be sent to Premier. If they actually decide to compete in Premier, we will not know. On top of that, we also want to talk about the North American side of things very shortly here. One of the North American teams, one of the 4 fighting for a relegation spot for Season 6, actually didn't even show up day 2. It was actually the Foundation. They decided to forfeit their day 2 matches. So it did go on to be Enigma 6. Enigma 6, a very good North American, underwhelming roster there. They have A2Z, Whitmer on the roster. Their full roster on screen for all of you. They managed to qualify alongside Ghost Gaming, and those will be your 2 teams going to the North American side of ESL Pro League for Season 6. And many of you know the LGB, the notorious building organization, a Scandinavian build roster who often had male CSGO rosters a couple of years ago, have been very inactive the past few months. LGB is the organization over there. They've been releasing letters on their Twitter, letters hinting at their new organization announcement, and it actually revealed the name Planet Odd. That'll be the new organization going forward. It does seem at this point in time, LGB has now become Planet Odd. They've actually not seen a male CSGO roster for quite some time. They were notorious back in the day for actually having several players from the LGB rosters go out to Scandinavian and European teams out there, mostly Scandinavian, and actually become very good players, and they have not had a male CSGO roster ever since. Their current female CSGO roster on screen for all of you will now play under the name Planet Odd, no longer LGB, but more importantly as well, we reached out to them to actually contact us about what's going on with the situation. It does seem as of right now, they are under the name Planet Odd organization, a new esports organization name, but they still have LGB management. We also reached out and asked them, what if you get a male CSGO roster in the future? Will they play under LGB or Planet Odd? And we actually got this reply on screen for all of you. It does seem going forward, if they do pick up a male CSGO roster, it's still under contingent. They're still under thought process. They have not thought that far ahead as to whether a male roster will play under Planet Odd or LGB, but going forward, their female CSGO roster, one of the top female CSGO rosters out there as of right now, will now be known as Planet Odd. And I'm really not sure how Decay does it, but he was right once again, because many people were very skeptical about the Immortals situation. FNX obviously leaving that roster potentially to go to Kogu, joining with his old teammate over there at Gorilla Core, that new roster, a lower tier Brazilian roster. It does seem going forward, we thought it was going to be Horvey, the Brazilian member, who is actually going to be joining Immortals in place of him, but it will be kNg, the former Red Reserve member, to replace FNX on the Immortals roster going forward. Decay was indeed right, because Horvey's visa issues were apparently going to take way too long, so it will be kNg, the former Red Reserve opera, to join that roster and replace FNX going forward. So congrats to K. Even when people were doubting you, you're still right. Very impressive. So going forward, hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching, guys. Thank you all for the great support. Please leave a comment down below. I will hopefully reply to as many comments as I can today. It's a very busy day, very busy weekend. Thank you guys for all understanding these past few days. I had no videos the past 2 days. Hope you guys all enjoy some new content coming out this week, and I really hope you all do enjoy that. Again, please leave a comment. As always, live, love, laugh a lot. I got this new sweatshirt. What do you guys think? Goodbye.